All right, so let's do some testing. Now, this is streaming out, so with audio, but let's make sure it's working out. Okay, so we have a great test run. How do you sound?
I think I sound okay.
All right, cool. Can you test the feed and make sure that we're both coming out?
Right now I see the splash screen, JWD Workshop 2 p.m. EST. I don't hear anything, but there is a delay. So
Yeah. So let's just
there it
see.
goes. I can hear myself, but it sounds like I'm coming from like your speakers into your microphone. It's not clear.
Not exactly sure how I want to fix that. Just give me a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen for you and we can work on our audio here. So before I had the mixer in here, do you think I had to add this again? Do you remember how it had the three mixers?
Um, I don't. The audio was clearer last time.
Yeah.
So
So maybe what I had to do is I don't think that's helping me. When I come into the looping app, try again.
all right, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Um, it's really delayed.
Yeah,
The feed right now is talking about should you add the three mixers. So it'll take a few minutes for me to hear.
I got you. Give me a quick audio test so I can hear what you sound like with my change.
Hello, hello, testing 1 2 3. Hello, hello.
Cool. How's it sounding? About the same?
Something's up with the feed. It's not broadcasting anymore.
Warning, my bitrate is lower than recommended. What should I try?
Was that the one that was like super jumpy?
Yeah.
Guess it's better than nothing.
So I just set it back. I clicked back on start streaming. So
need to send me a updated link?
No, it should be the same thing. I mean, I stopped and started lots of times yesterday. If that doesn't work, then I mean, I could try to open a whole new stream again. Um, should I do that? There's like no chance this is gonna work. By the way, it's just not. It's not ready. You know, you can feel it. So it appears that it is not yet able to.
Looks like the stream's working now.
Oh, is it? I can't see it on my view. This is complicated.
It looks like it's working to me because you're talking about if you should open a brand new stream.
Okay. So let me just switch to a different view here. We'll kick off when we're ready, but let's see how this looks on your screen. I'm going to kind of switch over to our different view here. I'm going to go ahead and switch back. How'd that look for you?
Looks good to me.
Still, okay. Let's see what data I get. Well, it appears that it is working this time. Hey guys, thanks for coming out for a new experiment. We are testing a live stream with new software. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to invite Ryan Scott onto the line. I'm Kevin Barber. We're from Lean Labs. We work with companies that are basically B2B and help them get more traffic, leads, and sales. So Ryan, let me pull you in here and we'll figure out what we're talking about today. Let's see if that pulls you up. Give me an audio test.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
All right, cool. So I can hear you well. Hopefully everyone else can hear you well. If you have any audio issues, let us know now in the comments in YouTube. If you're watching on our website, make sure that you click down into the link below and you can join the conversation live on YouTube. So with that, we're probably going to get started here in just a minute. I'm going to test and see what it looks like when I try to pull up the chat comments live. Just 1 second here. See if we can't get that working right. There we go. And the chat window. There we go. So this we'll be able to check in on comments here in a second. So here's where I'd like to see us kind of do an introduction on this whole topic of jobs to be done and why we're taking a time to talk about it today. And the thing is about the jobs to be done framework is it's really all about finding a way to help customers buy. One of the things that is important is that people hire products to fill specific types of jobs, and it's not always the thing that we think. It's the physical job, the task at hand. We're going to help you with the solution, but the problem that they solve or the product that they buy is also going to help them in other areas too. It's going to help them get the feeling that they want as a result. It's going to help them get the identity that they want, the way they look to others as a result. And you can apply that to almost anything and everything that you buy. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I thought I would just kind of set that out there. Ryan, what do you think? Where do you think the jobs to be done ends up getting used? Like, is this just something that goes in your website or in your emails? Like, where will you pull from this data for?
Yeah, I think it's actually important across the board. When you're communicating, what a lot of companies do is they try to communicate with their audience, pushing the messages that they want their audience to know, rather than thinking what does their audience want to know and giving them that message. When it comes to the jobs to be done framework, if it's done well, you can always reference that and make sure that your marketing messages, whether it's in a YouTube video or whether it's in an email, landing page, homepage, blog post, all of your content begins to really resonate with your audience because you're addressing the issues that they face all the time. You're basically speaking their language, what they care about. So I think it applies across the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So if there's one thing that we do at the beginning of every engagement, and a lot of our clients are super savvy and already doing this, but we need to make sure that we understand who the website's for. And the website has our products and it's to drive our sales, but the website's for them. And we need to develop the website that is going to attract our target customer, serve our target customer, and in doing that, convert our target customer. So one of the things that I think that we as marketers always start with is our buyer personas. So as a head of marketing or as a HR director, I want to hire more people so that I can build my team. But the problem is those it's a little bit difficult to develop a marketing story around that. One of the things that it totally overlooks is the situation that's triggering this. Why do they want to? What situation or trigger has come up? Yes, I want to, as an HR director, I want a system for hiring new people, but now what's that going to do? What's the payoff for the organization, and what's the payoff for me? How do I expect to feel, and how do I expect to look and operate in the organization? And those strings are the ones that HR director, for example, is going to choose on what to buy. And maybe it'd be good if we took a minute and just jumped into like a traditional description of the job to be done framework, and then we can talk about how to use it. You think that'd be good?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So the traditional job to be done in a nutshell is, has been around for a very long time. So, people don't want a quarter-inch drill. They want a quarter-inch hole. That's always been, kind of marketing 101, and we need to talk to the outcome, right? But I would argue that one of the things that the jobs to be done framework helps us unveil is they don't just want a quarter-inch hole. They want a quarter-inch hole so that they can, build something of value that's going to pull for their, not just the physical job, the thing of value, but the way they feel about it and the way they look to others. And I think that, this example of, someone working with his son to build him a playhouse is exactly right. He needs a quarter-inch hole so that he can accomplish his mission as a dad.
Right.
Does that make sense? And maybe maybe that's just one job to be done for this Makita drill. But, there's another job to be done, which is to make quarter-inch holes so that I can be a titan in construction so that I can provide for my family. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then the other one is the quarter-inch drill so I can remodel my kitchen so that I can, keep my wife happy. Happy wife, happy life, So one of the things we always need to be thinking about is what are the outcomes and where is that in our messaging? Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, cool. I've always loved this example. People are hiring you for the job that's going to get done. People aren't interested in the flower. They're interested in being Super Mario, big flower throwing hero. They're interested in the identity that your product or service is going to help them assume. So it's when you buy our product, it's like putting on the cape that's going to let you fly. And you're not selling the cape. You're selling the fact that they're going to be able to fly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like Steve Jobs is famous for his like classic marketing things, but when he came out with the iPod, it wasn't 2 gigabytes compared to Microsoft's Zoom or whatever that thing was called. He marketed it as 1,000 songs in your pocket because that was the job that was what people wanted. They didn't care if it was 2 gigabytes. 1,000 songs in your pockets was so much more relatable. All the other stuff was just Apple normal.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's kind of go here. The way we think about, selling is, we think about that, hey, something happens in their business. A lot of times we don't even document that. We don't even document the thing that happened in the business. But from that trigger event, they're going to have a pain or a desire to accomplish. And what we just go straight to bat on is how, hey, our product is going to help you accomplish this, so buy it. What percentage of you think the websites on Earth are basically doing this? Maybe or maybe not identifying the trigger event and then just saying, hey, you have this desire, this is how we fulfill it.
Honestly, I would think that it's a very low percentage that are actually doing it.
Yeah. So I think that there's definitely that if you want this, here's how you buy it. And I think that a low percentage even talk about the trigger events. And the problem is this is jobs to be done 101, right? So jobs to be done 102 is that there's 2 components of it. There's the trigger event, right? So like maybe it's like, oh, my website keeps crashing, so I need to find a new host. That's my pain and my desire. And then the thing that I also want to do is I want to make myself as a hosting company look very attractive. So, we have a great looking brand. We have, a great looking, website. We have great reviews. We, swag out all of our clients. It looks kind of neat, right? And then in that, please buy our stuff so that we, we can get what we want. I think this is jobs to be done 102, trigger event, knowing their pains, and kind of what is going to be attractive to them. Yeah. But the problem is we can't kind of forget that it's a little bit like an ocean. If you ever been out in the ocean and you went, surfing or boogie boarding, you realize that ocean is a tumbling event. There's waves coming in and waves pulling them out. And I really think that that's what buying feels like. There's this trigger event that gives you pain and a desire for change. But you're looking for something attractive so that you can get to your desired outcome. In the hosting example, a server setup that you never have to think about, but you're going to have anxieties and you're going to have old habits that you have to change in order to implement the new system. Like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, I moved to a new host. Do I have to change my email?
Right.
Oh my goodness, oh, I have to change my DNS. Oh, I don't know how that works. Oh, what if I mess it up? What if my web guy won't support it? What if it's not my host? What if it's the web guy's problem? There's these anxieties that are underneath the surface, and I think that this image from LeanStack nails it, because those anxieties and habits aren't always brought up to the surface. They're hidden below the surface, but we as marketers have to unearth them if we want to have an effective story. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And Jobs to be Done 201 that kind of moves this into the fray really kind of looks like this. So it's really mastering the triggers. So when your server goes down, we're going to talk about all the reasons that servers go down and how complex of a situation that is. And now that becomes bait to bring people in. We know what their pain is. They're on that page because their server went down. And we know that they want an environment where it doesn't go down again. Now, as marketers, we're decent at the polls and trying to think about what makes us attractive, right? But that's stuff about our company and our experts and our authority and how long we've been around and how fast our customer service acts and all those things, right? I also think we know what it is, what's the payoff that your customer is looking for. Hey, I want 99.999, 59 uptime. I want, a one call, no hold server support. I want, the easiest configuration GUI. We're good at that. And then we just miss the anxieties about the change, and we don't talk about how you're going to overcome those anxieties, how you're going to make DNS easy, email easy, switch over easy, how you're not going to have downtime, and then how you're going to make it how you're going to have to change their habits, but how you're going to make that easy. That's kind of like where the conversation goes. And when you're mastering this, what do you think that does to conversion, Ryan?
Well, I think it increases it significantly for actually multiple reasons. Number one, you're helping them. You're building trust by actually talking about the things that concerns them. But one of the things that we've noticed in creating just like blog content is that a lot of businesses, they are afraid of talking about the anxieties. They're afraid of talking about the potential problems, and they miss a huge opportunity because let's just say, you manufacture, I don't know, let's stick with the other example. And it was, you manufacture playhouses for kids, and you make yours out of, steel and fiberglass or whatever. Somebody else makes theirs out of wood. People, when they're trying to pick, they're concerned. If I pick one of wood, is it going to rot? Are termites going to get it? Or if I pick one of fiberglass, is it going to get too hot in the summer? Whatever. I'm making those up as I go. But a lot of people, they don't want to talk about the anxieties around their product. And so all they talk about is the pulls, the attractions. And what happens is they give up that conversation to a third party, like a Yelp, and somebody that got a horrible fiberglass experience, somebody that got burnt because their product was inferior. They're on there just blasting your product because you were afraid to address that situation. So I think this is actually golden information to bring the anxiety conversation into your world, where you can frame it, you can talk about it, you can address it. And if you do that right, you build all kinds of trust to continue people pulling them up that hill.
Yeah, one of the things that we always talk about is positioning your product as an actual offer. So an offer is not just the product, but it's the offer is the product at a special price that's bundled with all of the things that are going to minimize their friction and make switching easy. So if it's the Playhouse, it's the tool set, but it's the tool set plus plans, and then plus plans and an example video, and the I don't know what it is for the Playhouse, but it's the way that you can get it up in 48 hours with one hand tied behind your back. It's the plan that you can do with your 6-year-old kid. It's the thing that makes it so easy, and that you're just smoothing down the friction and knocking down the dominoes of why they wouldn't buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's kind of do this. the polls, why we think we have it, a lot of times we still miss it. So let's go into an example job to be done. This is one we take on a lot. We always try to capture the situation in the customer's language. And having talked to a lot of people running businesses and needing a better website over the years, you might think that it's a fancier way of describing it, but most of the time it's our website sucks. So we're thinking about redesigning our website so we can basically convert a whole lot more leads, and we'd like to see our website updated and look better at the same time. And that's the outcome that they'll say. But there's the emotional and social job of, I'd like to feel proud of my brand and confident that we're on a path to being able to make sales. And my sales guys need to see that I'm doing the things that are going to help us drive the company forward too. So it's not just that I need, more leads. It's I need more leads in a way that's going to establish an identity for me as well as our brand. And ultimately, the service provider that helps them overcome their anxieties, understand their bad habits that got them to the website they have today, the habits that they can help them easily change in order to accomplish these outcomes, is the one that's going to get the business. Yep. So maybe we should jump into an example. This is my favorite example. It's written all up. If you Google jobs to be done, you're probably going to come up with Snickers, because Snickers, they reclassified their whole product around the jobs to be done. It's not a candy bar anymore. It's a snack bar, because Snickers understands that you're not doing this as a dessert. It's not a dessert bar. It's a snack bar. It's for when you're hungry. And they decided to be the solution for that low in the afternoon when you need a little bit of you're feeling the hunger and you want to keep going throughout the day. So their marketing is all about the job, which is satisfy your hunger. It's not about the persona that's 35 years old and lives and has 2 dogs and half of a cat and likes peanut butter and jelly for lunch. It's you can not have to worry about being hungry because Snickers has got your back. And when you buy Snickers, it's not a candy bar. It's not making you fat. It's got protein. It's a snack bar that's going to keep you moving throughout the day. And that's what they've built their brand on. So you don't have to worry about looking overweight eating a Snickers. Snickers is the bar that's just going to satisfy your hunger and keep you moving. It's like, and that was really successful for them.
Yeah, this is like golden information too, because you can see it in everything that they do. When you consider the psychology of eating and how it connects with our feelings, their whole campaign of "want to get away" was Snickers. Everybody wants a break. Everybody wants to get away, and they've connected that. Open this candy bar and eat it, and you'll feel like you're getting away. It's not about the amount of chocolate. It's about the feeling that they get. It's pretty awesome.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that in our world, the "oh dear, it's hard to spell when you're hungry." It's like eat the snack bar, feel better, get back to work. I think that it's great marketing. So let's kind of keep going. Is that cool?
Yep.
All right, sweet. So what we kind of have inside of the deck, and if you look below the video, you're going to see a link that goes to this deck that you can download, and you can work on the jobs to be done for your brand. You can kind of figure out, hey, what is the situation of my customer? Who's my ideal customer? What situation is making them look for a solution today? Because trust me, they're on your website because they have a problem. Something's not happening that they'd like to change. Okay?
Yep.
And if we don't know what the trigger is, how do we start the conversation? So the situation is easy. This is what's happening. This is what's happening in their life, the thing that they've just become aware of or is totally new. And their motivation is basically the thing that they're thinking about changing. And then they're going to think about changing it so they can get to a specific outcome. And they want that specific outcome, not because they want the outcome. Trust me, it's not because they want the outcome. It's because they want how the outcome is going to make them feel. And it's about how the outcome is going to make them look to others. It's for the identity that outcome delivers. And if we're not selling that identity, we're leaving so much on the table.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I agree.
So inside the deck, there are some basic motivations, so maybe you're in, I don't know, maybe you're in decorating The job to be done is to, decorate a marvelous corporate office or a marvelous kitchen for executives, right? The situation is they've just moved into a new home. It has standard builder grade equipment, and their motivation is to not have a builder grade identity. Their motivation is to have an executive grade identity through their kitchen or through their executive office. And the outcome is that they have a dazzling office, kitchen, foyer, whatever. And then the emotional job in this example is that they feel like they're showing their standards and their status through how they've decorated their home. And the social job is they get to be seen as well above average. They get to be seen as tasteful and, focused on design and having standards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So from here, how do we do that? Because not always can you say, hey, do you want to be tasteful and have design standards? Do you want to feel fantastic when you walk into your kitchen? Sometimes that's a little bit hard to implement. So just know that you don't always have to implement that directly as your headline in your offer. A lot of times you can get your customer to say something like that for you. So maybe you're crafting a testimonial and they can speak to how they feel. And it's specifically crafted. You pick it because that's going to help them, tell the story for you. So, one of the things that this customer said, we didn't coach them. They wrote this well before this jobs to be done presentation deck was put together. But they're basically saying, hey, working with them is a dream, and they're smart and capable and a joy to work with. And one of the problems with everyone's web guy on the planet is that they're a hassle to work with. I never know what they're working on. It always takes forever. I'm never sure, if that's a good decision. So we basically are gathering and displaying testimonials that speak directly to the emotional and social job of our target client. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So this goes a level deeper that we can kind of go into. Ryan, do you think there's anything we need to do surface level before we go that level deeper?
No, I don't think so. I think the real value is always the level deeper.
All right, cool. So the thing that happens is there's related jobs to be done. So let's just do the website. I need a new website, right? Well, what's a related job that has to happen in order to get a new website?
I don't know which way you're pointing me, but I'm thinking I have to evaluate providers, I have to evaluate agencies.
Yeah, that's exactly the deal. The typical language that's in my customer's mind, we don't do proposals. Proposals are just books of promises backed by nothing. Oftentimes not even research. But one of the related jobs to be done is I feel the need to get a proposal. I need a few options so that I can understand what kind of decision I'm about to make. So the situation is I know I want a website, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the cost. I'm nervous about the team. So I think I might want to compare several proposals to get a little bit of insights into what's out there and gain a little confidence that when I make a choice, I'm making it at least based upon something, right? And there comes, for all the agencies that may ever watch this, can you send me a proposal? Meaning, I don't know what I'm getting into, so can you please educate me?
Yeah.
And the reason that the outcome is I want to find a proposal that's fantastic so I can make the right choice. That's the right deal, is the desired outcome of a proposal, so I want to make the right choice. And why do I want to make the choice? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if I don't make the right choice, I'm going to be wasting money, overspending, buying something I don't need, or buying straight up the wrong thing. And if I have the right proposal, then I can talk to my team, my finance department, depending on the size of the company, my wife, around what I'm doing, why I'm spending money, so that I can feel savvy, look savvy, and get the traction I need organizationally to get this project moving forward. I don't want to look like I don't know which way is up. So some of the anxieties that are happening in the proposal process, so that's kind of the bottom side, is you got to understand that, wow, when I request a proposal, how many salespeople am I going to have to talk to? Mm-hmm. How do I know if they know anything about me? how do I how do I evaluate if their proposal is, like one guy sent me a 7-page proposal and somebody else sent me a 70-page proposal. I'm not sure who's better. I hope they don't send me 70-page emails. This won't be very fun. So I'm not even sure how I want to evaluate the proposal once I get it. Those are anxieties that need to be addressed. And then the other thing is what kind of habits do they have? Probably a typical habit, if they've ever, had small construction done or had other projects done by freelancers, is they get a quote, right? So the habit is I want to know a price, and then I'll figure out what I need. And like one of the conversations we're always having is strategy should not be dictated by budget, and they're doing an opposite. Does it make sense? Yeah. So the strategy should dictate budget. It shouldn't be dictated by budget. And one of the things you got to do is you got to talk for a little while about your goals, your business. You got to understand what's working now, what's not working now, what the next step is, what the step after that is. So you really tend not to start with a proposal that someone, let's face it, builds out of a template, but you start building a proposal. When they request a proposal, in my opinion, that's the time to have a conversation about where's the business, and let's understand what it actually needs. And then let's figure out whether we're trying to move from A to B or A to D. Like, where are we trying to get to? When we understand what the goals are, then you can develop a strategy to get there. Then you can attach a budget to that strategy. And that's how we address the proposal. We start it with a game plan call. So does it make sense? The game plan call is free, like a proposal. It lets them understand how we're going to treat their business like a proposal. It gets them a feel for how we operate like a proposal, but it doesn't have a book of promises like a proposal. So like you got to think about the related jobs to be done. And so getting a proposal is one related job. When you're thinking about getting a website, another related job is to talk to your sales department about the website, get their input. Another job to be done is to, understand what platforms it's going to be on and exactly how much technical pain is going to be associated with this new website. And all of those are related jobs to be done that if you're not talking about it, you're leaving money on the table, because these are things that are driving anxiety, driving friction in your sales, that if unaddressed, they're going to go find the answers to those concerns somewhere else.
Yep.
Cool. So the way that we think about this is we're always thinking about the new identity that our product or service is going to create. So we understand what they have, the situation, the way they feel about what they have, the way those habits are dealing with their average day and their current today status without a better solution. And the jobs to be done helps us frame who they're going to become, what that's going to feel like, what their average day is going to look like then, and what that's going to do for their status within the organization, their social job to be done. And then what we do is we go working on a hook that's going to drive them towards what they want. And you can have a direct call to action or a transitional call to action. So a direct call to action is buy a website here, X dollars. A transitional call to action is, download a growth kit or a starter kit in order to understand the entire process from beginning to end, from concept to complete. These are the steps that you're going to go through. This is the amount of money that's involved, the amount of work that's involved, the questions we're going to ask you so you can start working on answers. What happens when we need to get it ready to go live? What happens after it goes live? Let's talk all the way through it. And like that is a great disarmament. It removes a lot of the anxieties that are there. And then you can start talking about how to get to their outcome. Does that make sense? So one of the things we got to do in jobs to be done is we can directly try to sell them, but we can also indirectly just try to lower the friction and anxiety.
What do you think is the, knowing which one to do, either the direct or the transitional, and how does having a clear grasp of the jobs to be done framework help you make that decision?
Yeah. So this might stray slightly from jobs to be done, but the answer to whether I want a direct or transitional call to action is yes. You know,
Right.
we want both because there's different kind of people in the way that they buy, right? So, you know, there's the driver or the competitive. We always think of them as the CEO, but they may not be. They're the type of person that is just very results oriented. When they
Yeah.
find something that they believe is going to get them the result that they want and the status that they seek, and they feel good about it, they're going to buy. So
Yeah.
it's good to have the ability for someone who's ready to move forward to move forward. If you block them from moving forward, they're going to go somewhere else. So the direct path to solution should always be there. But that's only like 1/4 of the market.
Yeah.
Okay. The other part of the market is actually the one that needs better marketed too. The polar opposite of the very quick decision, buyer of the driver is the methodical, the person who wants to understand every detail in advance to avoid making mistakes. So, the driver wants to avoid taking forever. The methodical wants to avoid making mistakes. And people can be both drivers and methodicals on different choices. Like when I'm making a big business decision, I fall into methodical every single time. But when it has to do with where are we taking the family for dinner, it's do not make me think. Like we need to make that choice in the next 7 seconds. So, we can shift in and out based upon where we're at and the importance of the decision. But for the methodical, you better have this transitional call to action. But you also got to understand that it's not just methodicals or highly analytical people that are reading it. You got your humanitarians. So the people that think less about themselves or their bank account and more about their organization. So that's where you got to really hammer that emotional and social job to be done. And the humanitarians take up about 35% of the market. It's not all about them. And they recognize that all of their choices on who they hire, the products they use, all of that stuff affects their team, and they're going to think more about their team than themselves. If you're not therefore addressing how this is going to affect your organization, if you're not selling that drill and you're not talking about how great Makita tools are going to look in your garage, and you're not showing that, you're not showing the status for them, but also the simplicity and how it can work throughout your household, then you're missing out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So outside of the drivers, the methodicals, and the humanitarians, the last one's the spontaneous. And the spontaneous is going to do what's fun. So that's where you need to keep it conversational, keep it easy, simplify, simplify, simplify. You can always link to further docs, but your general journey should be simple so that people can get through it. And your spontaneous is, depending on the product or service that you have, may put their more methodical hat on, or maybe it needs to be very spontaneous. If you're selling t-shirts, it needs to look cool, fit well. If it doesn't fit well, have an easy way to solve it and let them buy it. So, cool. So from here, I think what we'll probably start doing is if there are any questions, you can type them into chat. We'll check them out. And we can talk about what it looks like, moving forward. Oh, and the other thing is we were talking about that proposal thing, right? So, I don't do proposals because they're promise books, and I'm competing with other people's promise books. And then what that naturally does for, a lot of times we're selling against junior salespeople. Well, what's to keep them from just adding a zero? We're going to promise you this. No one believes it's a contract, right? It's just a proposal book trying to draw a reaction. So what we did is, we've built, transitional offerings that help them get their related job to be done, if a proposal done, but they don't require any effort and they still lead to conversations and they convert like gangbusters through our project playbook, through our strategy kit, those kinds of things, drive a lot of engagement for us, as well as the direct to booking a game plan call. So significantly more downloads than game plan calls, and that makes sense because not everyone's ready to talk.
Yeah.
Cool. So if there are any questions, drop them in the chat. And if there aren't, we might be near wrapping up, Ryan, unless you think there's anything else we should talk about.
No, just everybody that's watching that's actually on the Lean Labs website, below the video, there's a link that will take you right over to YouTube. We're actually monitoring the YouTube chat. So if you have questions, you can jump over and ask there. I think, I think going back to the spontaneous and the other categories that you mentioned, you know, you mentioned that we're going a little bit away from jobs to be done there, but I don't really think that is going away from it, because when you're creating content or you're creating a message for a page, number one, you should know who your target audience is for that piece of content, which goes back to personas. And then I think the entire thing that you're talking about how they want to buy now or buy later, is the jobs to be done that connects to that persona. So when you're creating like a web page or a piece of content on a video or blog, understanding who you're talking to and not trying to talk to everybody, but understand who you're talking to, and then having that clear understanding of these are the jobs that they're trying to accomplish. I think it connects directly with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So as we wrap up, let's talk about what we're doing as a series. Why did we do this Jobs to be Done workshop today, Ryan? Besides seeing if our tech worked.
Well, we have a series on series of trainings. So eventually what we want to do for all of our customers, both Sprocket Rocket customers and Lean Labs customers, is we want them to not just buy into what makes a company grow, but actually understand the whole process that goes through that. And so the best way to do that is to provide training that just kind of pulls the veil back and lets you see the things that are working on the inside. And so we have a series of these trainings that's going to be coming up. Once we get our tech issues solved and everything's running smoothly, we're going to start stepping through these things, so that if you are kind of a DIYer that you like to do everything yourself, taking these trainings is going to make you into a much better marketer or whatever you need to be to promote your business. But for those that even decide, okay, we want to work with Lean Labs or we need a Sprocket Rocket website, it's going to take those, and we're going to be able to run at 100 miles an hour because everybody understands the value, the process, the objectives, the goals, and we're all running towards that same thing.
Yep. We think that if we show you how we think, maybe that'll get you thinking. And then also, when it makes sense, it'll lead to conversations for us, which is great. And if it just gets you thinking and you want to work with your existing team, or you're going to hire a freelancer for the stage that you're at to get where you need to go, that totally makes sense. You're welcome to grab the docs. These build on themselves. Jobs to be Done is actually a little bit of a shorter meeting than we just had, talking through it, where we actually complete it with our clients. But maybe that'll lead to, as we put together these workshops, you'll get to get a clearer picture about the kind of transitioning your marketing strategy has to make in order to, drive engagement and conversion.
Yep, sounds good. Doesn't look like we have any questions coming through right now. There are several people watching. But nobody's putting in a question, so I guess everybody just thought it was awesome.
Cool. So I think what that does is that puts us in a spot where we're wrapping up for today. Thank you guys for watching. If nothing else, know that if you have a conversation with Lean Labs, you'll probably be talking to the only growth team with a gang sign. So thanks for watching Lean Labs, and we'll see you next time.